Plastic is terrible for our planet. More than 8 million tons of it ends up in the ocean every year, and this volume is equivalent to dumping the contents of one garbage truck into the ocean per minute. If we continue to pollute at this rate, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean by 2050. In the past 70 years, annual production of plastic has increased nearly 200-fold. In 1950, the world produced only 2 million tons of plastic per year. 51% of the global plastic is produced in Asia, where China is the largest producer. And the unfortunate thing is that most of this plastic isn't recyclable. In 2015, an estimated 55% of global plastic waste was discarded, 25% was incinerated, and 20% recycled. The thing is, we are addicted to using plastic in literally everything. Plastic items take centuries to decompose. A fishing net can take up to 600 years to decompose, while a diaper takes 450 years to decompose. And when these items decompose, they turn into microplastics. China is the world leader in generating plastic waste, producing an annual 59 million metric tons of plastic waste. This is more plastic waste than that of all countries of the European Union combined. This graph shows the most plastic waste generating sectors in 2015. A large amount of plastic waste enters the environment, and some studies suggest that the bodies of 90% of seabirds contain plastic debris. Marine animals are consistently harmed by entanglement in plastic objects and by the ingestion of plastic waste.
How to do now? Can we actually...
Microplastics often end up in human body when people eat seafood like fish. A 2017 study found that 83% of tap water samples taken around the world contain plastic pollutants. Plastic waste in the ocean comes together to form huge islands of floating garbage like the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. These garbage patches are present in the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Ocean. Plastic in our oceans is a huge problem. But where does this plastic come from? Most of the plastic in our oceans comes from land-based sources. By weight, 70 to 80% of plastic is transported from land to the sea via rivers or coastlines. The other 20 to 30% comes from marine sources such as fishing nets, lines, ropes, and abandoned vessels. The latest research by Lawrence Meyer and his team updates our understanding of how these plastics are distributed. They found that rivers emitted most of the plastics into the oceans in 2015. Around one-third of the 100,000 river outlets that they modeled contributed to this. The other two-thirds emitted almost no plastic to the ocean. It's an important point because we might think that most, if not all, rivers are contributing to the problem. This is not the case. This chart shows how many of the top emitting rivers make up a given percentage of plastic inputs. We can see that top 10% rivers contribute 18% of plastic input to the oceans, and 80% of the plastic input to the ocean is contributed by 1,656 rivers. Most of the world's largest emitting rivers are in Asia, with some also in East Africa and the Caribbean. This chart shows the top 10 largest contributors. 7 of the top 10 rivers are in the Philippines, 2 are in India, and 1 in Malaysia. The Pasig River in the Philippines alone accounts for 6.4% of global river plastics. Asia accounts for 81% of global plastic inputs to the ocean. Africa is responsible for 8%, South America for 5.5%, North America for 4.5%, and Europe and Australia combined are less than 1%. This should also not surprise us given the fact that Asia is the world's most populous region and home to 60% of the world's population. The Philippines accounts for more than one-third of plastic inputs. This is because the Philippines consists of many small islands where the majority of the population lives near the coast. India accounts for 13% and China accounts for 7%. But as far as plastic waste generation is considered, rich countries produce much more plastic waste per person than poor countries. Most produce zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.5 kilograms per person per day. This compares to 0.01 in India and 0.07 kilograms per person in the Philippines. The UK in fact generates twice as much plastic waste as the Philippines, but plastic only enters rivers and the ocean if it's poorly managed. In rich countries, nearly all of the plastic waste is incinerated, recycled, or sent to well-managed landfills. It's not left open to the surrounding environment. Low to middle income countries tend to have poorer waste management infrastructure. Waste can be dumped outside of landfills, and landfills that do exist are often open, leaking waste to the surrounding environment. Mismanaged waste in low to middle income countries is therefore much higher. Per capita mismanaged waste in the Philippines is 100 times higher than in the UK. The probability of mismanaged plastic waste entering the ocean by country is shown in this chart. This probability is much higher in countries such as the Philippines, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka than China or India. This is why smaller rivers in these countries play a larger role than we might assume. Identifying where plastic emissions are coming from really matters for how we tackle it. Rich countries emit very little. This means domestic strategies to reduce plastics in these countries will not make much difference to ocean plastics. What rich countries can do is support low to middle income countries in improving waste management infrastructure. Improving waste management is a solution that very few people get excited about, but it's absolutely key to tackling plastic pollution. And importantly, they can ban the export of any plastics to other countries where it could be mismanaged. Understanding the distribution of emissions across the world's rivers is also crucial. To stop plastic pollution in our oceans, we need a global approach to reducing plastic waste and managing it appropriately to stop it leaking into the natural environment. Focusing on a few rivers will not be enough. It is estimated that plastic trash flowing into the seas will nearly triple by 2040 without drastic action. The ultimate solution to protecting oceans and freshwater systems is to contain plastic waste on land where it originates. YouTubers Mark Rober and MrBeast have launched an initiative called Team Seas to raise $30 million in order to remove 30 million pounds of plastic from the ocean. While it's a noble initiative, the sad reality is that it's not really going to do a lot because of how much plastic we have dumped into the nature. Just by doing simple math, we can see that 30 million pounds is just 0.17% of the total plastic dumped into the ocean annually. To put it into context, if the population of the world was the amount of plastic in the ocean in pounds, this effort would only remove waste equivalent to the population of New Delhi. And that is only for this year. Next year, 8 million tons of waste is gonna go into the ocean again. But hey, we gotta do something to make us feel better about ourselves. Proper waste management is the responsibility of our incompetent governments, not the tax-paying citizens.